Hello everyone and welcome back! This is the second part of a collaboration video about southern Italy with my friend History House Production. You should really consider subscribing to this guy and to watch part 1 of this collaboration before checking out my video. So stop whatever you're doing right now and yeah, I will wait for you right here. Let's roll the intro. Hello and welcome back. Today I will be talking about the final dynasty of kings that controlled southern Italy before the unification. The Bourbon dynasty. 1815 is the year when all the European countries met in Vienna to decide how Europe was going to work now that Napoleon was gone. If you want to know more about Italy after 1815, check out my previous video on the first phases of the Italian unification. It was decided that the two independent countries of Naples and Sicily were going to be united and have the same ruler they had before. The ruler in question was Ferdinand I. The situation with his name is weird. He was called Ferdinand without a doubt, but before 1815 he was known as Ferdinand IV of Naples and Ferdinand III of Sicily, because Sicily and Naples were completely unrelated countries but had the same king. Everyone in Europe thought it would have been pointless to keep the two countries separated, so they united them and named it the Kingdom of Two Sicilies. And Ferdinand was named Ferdinand I of Two Sicilies. Everyone was very happy because his name got so much easier to remember, except the Sicilians because they lost their independence. This will bite the kings in the ass in the future. Ferdinand, however, was now in somewhat of a debt with Austria, which had a lot of influence on his kingdom during his reign. Ferdinand reigned from 1816 until his death in 1825. Even though his parents neglected his education when he was at a young age, since he was only the third son they had, he still handled the throne quite well. Before the unification of his kingdom, he fought against Napoleon. He was able to defend Sicily from a French invasion and even briefly established a republic in Naples in 1798. He spent the last years of his reign by not caring about liberal reforms as he used to, mostly because Austria didn't approve, but also because he thought that he was too old for that stuff. The Sicilians didn't agree, and they revolted in 1820. They wanted to be independent like before 1816, and they also wanted a constitution. The demands in themselves were not too bad for Ferdinand, but Austria told him to not concede anything and to stay loyal to the terms of the Congress of Vienna, so he sent troops south to deal with them instead. People of Naples didn't like this, so they revolted too, and they were dealt with as well. What a nice guy. To be fair, he did build some cool stuff in the city. Anyway, he died in 1825, and his son Francis took power. He was even more reactionary than his father, but he wasn't very interested in political reforms, so he mostly dealt with internal issues. He hoped that by fixing his country first, it would create a domino effect that would impact the political environment as well. For the most part, it was not a bad idea. His reign was short, but many technological and administrative reforms were made. They built a better road network, started to build the first railroad, and implemented several new judiciary reforms to make punishments for criminals harsher, so crime went down. That's always good. He also introduced honorary charges to be given for scientific discoveries. In fact, there were many technological and scientific improvements during this time which helped fix the economy. And the first industries were built as well, and they improved their navy by making it mostly out of steam frigates, which were among the best in the world. In 1830, Francis died, and his son, Ferdinand II, took power. Ferdinand appeared to be more liberal and more educated than his dad at first. He gave the liberals a glamour of hope by cutting taxes. He also did some financial reforms, and he often toured around his kingdom to look at problems firsthand and fix them as he traveled. He also kept on his father's legacy by continuing to encourage technological improvements. He also finished to build more steam frigates and finished the Napoli-Portici Railway in 1832, the first in Italy. By 1837, however, things started to get dark again, as he repressed several protests for a constitution. In 1848, riots came around all over the kingdom as well as in Europe, and Ferdinand was forced to finally accept the constitution. However, when he saw the intellectuals having trouble agreeing on what to write in it, and that the situation in Sicily was getting out of control, just as in 1820, he changed his mind and went south to repress the revolts by bombing Messina for days. This event would earn him the nickname Bomb King. He was apparently so happy about that name that when he grew old, he got so fat to the point that it looked like he could explode at any moment. So the idea for this joke, this guy on Steam, he commented on a mod of the Kingdom of Two Sicilies. All the credit goes to him. It's like, yeah, basically stole your joke, thank you very much. In 1859 he died and his son Francis II took power. Francis was poorly educated, was very religious, and was not good with politics in the slightest. His wife probably didn't even love him. They had a complicated relationship. Everyone in Europe thought he was going to be the last king of two Sicilies because they didn't see him as a strong enough leader to handle the rough political climate his country was going through. They were right. In 1860, Garibaldi landed in Sicily to conquer the south for Piedmont. Sicilians joined him without thinking about it twice, and in less than a year he conquered all of the two Sicilies. In 1861, Francis and his family fought for a last stand in Gaeta. Most of his troops and generals stabbed him in the back, figuratively, but thanks to the support of Spain and France, he was able to hold up and defend his fortress for months until in February 1861 his allies left and Piedmont sent reinforcements. He was defeated shortly after and deposed. The treasury of the Bourbon dynasty would be taken away by Piedmont, as well as all the machinery and industries Ferdinand II and Francis I had built previously. The Third War of Independence left southern Italy in a deep state of poverty. Many people had to flee to the Americas, and the ones who stayed had to deal with the rich landowners imposing high prices on food and land. Gangs of thieves sacking caravans until 1865, and the Piemontese government repressed any kind of protests, imposing conscriptions and a tax for bread to pay the huge debt that Piedmont had accumulated over the process of the unification. Francis stayed in Rome until it was taken in 1870. Then he stayed in Vienna, where he died in 1894. Many look at the Kingdom of Two Sicilies as the most glorious days of southern Italy and the Bourbon family as heroes. While that is not entirely true, Garibaldi's conquest of Italy was more of a curse than a blessing. During the first years under Piedmont, the south was treated more as a colony. By moving the industries up north, they let the south decay in its backwardness. The southern question is still a big problem in today's Italy. Even though most of the cultural and linguistic differences were solved in the 1930s with the introduction of the radio and, funnily enough, fascism, the north and south of the country differ greatly in both history, complexities, values, and politics. By this, I am not saying that Italy should have stayed divided up, because a country with no constitution is never a better choice, but by implementing Piemontese law on people that don't even speak your language feels like colonization. So, in conclusion, people of the South like to look back at Two Sicilies fondly, while the mainstream historians, they just dismiss the whole picture and just say they were ruthless tyrant kings. People usually just side with one of these two, but the world is not black and white. I hope I was able to be more objective in my judgment. Let me know what you think about the fall of the Kingdom of the Sicilies. I would like to hear what you people have to say. Anyway, I talk a lot about Italy in my videos, so if you are interested, check out my Ancient Italy series and my previous video on the Italian unification. I'm not going to force you, but I would really appreciate it. Thanks again for History House Production. It was a pleasure working with him, and I urge you to check him out as well if you haven't already. And if History House Production brought you here, then please subscribe and maybe like the video. Again, I'm not gonna force you, but I would really appreciate it. But that being said, I will see you next time with a brand new video.